on the beat.
All right. Wow. What a day. Yeah. Hope I'm audible enough. I hope I'm audible and I hope everybody can see me. Good morning from Ghana. This is Andres Akoto Ado. I'm so excited to be doing this again. It feels like forever. And we've been waiting for this from the shared value perspective and then also for entrepreneurs on the continent, because I had some people checking in and were like, I think probably they forgot that the African Entrepreneurship Forum is a quarterly forum. We hold this every quarter. And so this year, probably they were thinking I will start the year with the forum. How wonderful would it have been if we had started a year with the forum, right? I see people, greeting and welcome. Please do that. Okay, let us know where you're connecting from. And then, as I was saying, we have people. I have people connecting with me, asking me, when is the forum starting, or when are we having the next forum and all that. This is it. Today we are doing it. All right. There's a first installment for the year 2023. And so since the first installment, I think it's in order for me to wish everybody a happy new year from the Shared Value Africa Initiative side, from Reach for Change, my organization, and then also I'm sure our speakers, when they take the stand and when they start to talk, they are going to also wish you a very wonderful new year. As an entrepreneur, there's always expectation that we have for the year. And this community, this platform actually is going to just give you that sort of mindset that you need to actually win, get the quick wins and then make the gains that you want to make. And so the purpose of this is basically to facilitate the conversations that are needed, the most important conversations that you entrepreneurs ought to be having, the challenges that we are facing that we want to actually surmount, and the hurdles that we have to surmount, and then the mountains that we need to climb and all that. This is where we give you the tools, we give you the keys, we give you the know-how for you to get it done. And today we have an amazing group of people that we've assembled, thought leaders, industry leaders, giants within their space that are going to give you the keys, that are going to give you the tools to win in 2023 as an entrepreneur. As I said, my name is Andrew Zakutuado. I'm connecting from Ghana. I'm happy to be the moderator for the African Entrepreneurship Forum. I'm here with the Shared Value Africa Initiative team, Vio, Lolo, Philly. They're holding it down for me always. All right. Let us know where you're connecting from. I see. Okay, we have South Africa. Sabrina, thank you for connecting with us. Greetings from South Africa, Cape Town. We have Janat, my very good friend Janat One Hive, CEO for One Hive Ghana. Maluin Nonki, extraordinary entrepreneurs. Wow, I like that, from Cape Town. Welcome everybody. I like that we have Kenya, Zimbabwe, Zambia. Wow, this is it. This is the platform actually. Africa connecting with Africans. Bringing everyone together for us to get things done. In recent time, the number of entrepreneurs that have been deployed or actually realized on the continents, it keeps rising. And it comes with its problems. It comes with its challenges. The journey as an entrepreneur is, I can't talk for you. You can actually share it yourself. You can actually connect to the story, the reality. It's not easy. It's tough, right? And so we, on our side, as a business developer personally, you get to feel those things that, hey, how do we make the journey even a little bit soft for you? How do we bring the insulation within the whole hustle and bustle? How do we give you that sort of safety net? Okay, one of the major challenges that entrepreneurs face is funding. I think is one of the things that is on the mind of every entrepreneur: access to finance. But there are other things. But then for today's conversation, we want to bust the bubble. We want to break the myth. We want to just give you all the keys you need. How to access funding. What do you need to do? How to get it done? The whole business growth oftentimes starts with the need for funding, the need to access finance. It's true, funding is important. It's like the fuel that gets you going. It's important. And outside, the other things that business developers in my space would say that, okay, you need a mindset shift, you need a good business model, you need other things. How do we get all this complementing things? How do we align the thoughts properly? That is what our resource persons that we've assembled, our experts, thought leaders for the day are going to give us. They're going to tell us what to do. So this is the Entrepreneurship Forum. As I said, it is a forum set up by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. This is where we give you the information that you need. It's a platform to share knowledge, to continue to get all those blended learning approach within the entrepreneurship space in Africa to get us going. Thank you all for connecting with us today. We wish you stay and stay, and we wish this conversation would actually, you find it very insightful, as I always find it to be. This is where I learn. This is where I get all the insight that I need to keep going. And I hope you get the same thing that I always get here, all right? So enjoy, and this is where we kick off, all right? So without much ado, I'm gonna call my own personal person, the director for Shared Value Africa Initiative, Vuyo Letseke. Vuyo, I'm excited. We are getting it done. Today is the first installment for the year. From the SVAI perspective, for yourself, actually, what are your expectations? And what do you have to share with us from SVAI so that our audience and those that are yet to connect with us? And please, if you just connected, all right, Tell somebody on Twitter, tell somebody on Facebook, tell somebody on Instagram that this is the Entrepreneurship Forum. You just connected and you're here with Andrew, you're here with Vuyo, Nelson, our keynote speaker is also here. Ahmad Jampo, the CEO of Scale Up Africa is here. Telefani Banks, CEO of Analytics Africa, Chibuna. I mean, we have an amazing group of people here today. So please share this information and let everybody know that you are here and we are in our elements, all right? We are in our elements.
Thank you. Absolutely. I love the energy. Thank you so much, Andrews. And I think for me, you know, and I'm hijacking the stage a little bit so I can talk a little bit about Shared Value Africa Initiative and a little bit of what we have coming up in the next quarter for our entrepreneurs on the stage, but very excited to be here as also, I want to say, you know, a witness, right, to our voices of thought leaders who are coming here and sharing insights on this peer learning platform for entrepreneurs to really get insights and get information and hopefully a little bit of guidance as you go on your journey towards, you know, as Andrews mentioned, the important, you know, I want to say investor readiness journey, as it were, but really to just, in an informal way, learn from others who have insights, but also have been through the same experience. So very excited. As Andrews mentioned, my name is Vuyo from the Shared Value Africa Initiative, the hosts of this, but very much in the back end and really allowing our, you know, great speakers today to, you know, take the platform. So having said that, I'm going to share a quick video and I'll go through these opportunities that I have I'd like to highlight for everyone. And this also for us is very important, especially as when we have new participants to get an understanding of why we're doing what we are doing as an organization. So please just bear with me, everyone, for a couple of minutes as I do so. Yeah. And now my screen is not. There we go.
What is it about Africa? Some see struggle. We see opportunity. This is where we thrive. Africa is a land of contrasts. Hundreds of millions of our people live without access to clean water and electricity. Yet we have more entrepreneurs than any other continent. And by 2050, half of the world's youth will be African. Africa's been busy. We're urbanizing, embracing technology. We're sprinting forward with some of the fastest growing economies in the world. It's time for African-driven solutions to African problems. It's time to seize the moment and create our own narrative to build the Africa we want. Business has the power to bring about change at scale and make money doing so. The shared value business model reconnects business success with social progress. Shared value is also about partnerships, building business networks that create inclusive growth. The power of collaboration should never be underestimated. If we can bring together businesses and communities from across Africa with a shared purpose, we can build economic value and, most importantly, value for society. It's time for Africa to become the economic powerhouse of the future. Become part of Africa's most powerful shared value business network. Join the Shared Value Africa Initiative today.
All right, so joining, right, the Shared Value Africa Initiative from a perspective of an entrepreneur really means, oh gosh, excuse me, everyone, I hope this doesn't stop. It's really about being part of platforms like this one that we're curating. And if, based on today's conversations, if you've got thoughts, ideas of what you'd like us to talk about in future, this is, like, as I mentioned, a platform that we want to put together for you to come in not once, not twice, but every single time. So our regulars on this platform, I'm sure, have heard me say a lot of this before, but we always want to kind of like regroup, especially when we're starting the year, and make sure that, you know, we are reminding everyone why we're here. And this is for us, as Shared Value Africa Initiative, an opportunity as we are advocating for profit with purpose across the continent to look at ways we can support you yourselves as our entrepreneur army, right, working across Africa in various ways in doing so. So I'm resharing this slide that we had during when we were opening the session today, because I think it's a great visual representation of what everything that almost guides us in the work that we do as Shared Value Africa Initiative in relation to entrepreneurs, but generally the networks that we are building and creating across the continent. So really, not just pretty pictures, but really speaking to very key themes that we face as a community, as private sector and civil society in Africa, in various ways. Equal rights, innovation, strategy, partnership, and the power of collective impact. Out of this is a lot of the thought that goes behind the inspiration that we hope to give you all as you are working with us today. But over and above that, besides this platform that we've created, being the Entrepreneurship Forum, us as SVAI, in partnership with Analytics Advertising, Talifani Banks, is going to be on our panel today. We are partners, and I think I've mentioned this when we launched it last year, have launched a platform called Jemmy Trade, which is essentially a digital community of SMEs that are trading across borders, right? And the idea for us with this was, while we are talking about cross-border trade on the continent in various ways, we saw a gap in terms of SMEs, MSMEs who are looking to trade, accessing the right information, up-to-date information in a way that as you move around within your business in various ways, you can actually get the information via app. So mobility is part of the solution that we are bringing you. And also very important for us, as similarly to us hosting this, this forum, connecting to each other and hopefully collaborating and trading with each other across borders. For us, everything we do is about breaking down these borders that exist in Africa and to be able to build a much wider community. So all of this is a program that we're developing it. We are raising funding for it, but we already have a lot that we would love to share with you guys in terms of what cross-border trade on the continent looks like, in terms of and its potential, right, for entrepreneurship, but also for the economy. And this, for us, the capacity building part of it is something that's already going and that's we're already running with. And then the opportunity for yourselves is to sign up on our website and be first to join the community as we are doing our beta testing, beta, I don't know what the right word it is, testing to roll it out, but also to be kept up to date on various opportunities of that. So please, I'm going to put this in the chat box as well. And I've shared it before, but I wanted to bring it up again today. Join us, sign up at jemmytrade.africa. Jemmy meaning community, and the driver behind everything that we are doing with this platform, but everything that we do. Jemmytrade.africa is a site, sign up there, and then you'll be kept up to date as we do the work that we do. Second opportunity that we always want to share, and I think our panelists, Andrew, Shibuna, have been, and some of our attendees here today have been part of this shared value training that we offer for entrepreneurs across the continent. And this is very important because as you are building your business, as you are solving and building a sustainable business, right, we help entrepreneurs and SMEs think about how that business is addressing purpose. How is it really addressing a bigger need within society or the environment? And this is a very important framework that we take you to, because it talks about business strategy, but beyond strategy, implementation, people management, and operations as you are building a purpose-driven business that ultimately will be not just sustainable itself, but contribute to a sustainable society. This is a 4-week course that we offer, but you do have to apply for it in order to get the benefits. And we, of course, do assessment based on that. So within this, then, we invite you all to email Philly@shiftimpact.africa. We'll also put the email in the chat to express your interest, and then we'll share with you the criteria, because our next cohort is we're currently recruiting for that, and we'll be announcing that very soon. It's a very small class of not more than 20 people, because we want to dig into the work that you do and how we can help you. So first come, first serve. If you match the criteria, you make the commitment to come through, you have full access to our experts, other entrepreneurs, and as well as our trainers for the duration of the course and even afterwards, for your own empowerment. And with that, I'm going to just really say thank you again for joining us, guys. And I'm going to hand back over to Andrews to take us further. And, I'm very excited about today's session, and I hope everyone gets, the information that I know you will get out of it, but also the inspiration as well from our panel and our keynote speaker. Thank you, Andrews.
Thank you so much, Will. I just wanted to pass a comment that Jimmy Trade is such a revolutionary idea. I mean, the AFCTA is with us, Africa Continental Free Trade Area is with us. And what Jimmy Trade actually offers us is getting us to connect beyond borders within the African continent through trade. And this platform facilitating that for me is one way of getting the agreement in action. I mean, we all don't want to be part of all the talk shops. This is something that Vuyo, Tiki, the SVAI with Talifani banks are getting it done. I mean, that's getting the work done. You know,
absolutely. And it will be truly successful if everyone's able to participate in it. And that includes our SMEs. And that for us is the gap that we want to target, right, within this solution. So very excited to keep everyone updated on that as well.
Amazing for you, and kudos to the work that we are doing. And this is where all of us here actually have to just connect to this platform and be a part of it, okay, to grow it, to connect the dots, right, and get things running. Thank you so much, Vio. And if you are still here with us, this is Africa Continental, did I say Africa Continental Free Trade Area? I'm almost going to do a presentation for the AFCFTA. No, this is Africa Entrepreneurship Forum, right? African Entrepreneurship Forum. You're welcome. If you're just connecting with us, you're welcome. And I'm excited for today's conversation. We have an amazing group of people. I can't overemphasize this enough, all right? Our first speaker, our keynote speaker for the day is, normally we use this phrase, a man of many hats. You can see him in a place that he is a big time investor, you know, facilitating deals, connecting the dots within the continent. But for me, he's my lecturer. Okay, he actually has been an adjunct lecturer. He did that a couple of years ago, I believe. And he has been in the field of entrepreneurship for a decade and over. He knows how to get the job done, moving the needle in your field of entrepreneurship. He has helped many businesses. I mean, I'm a product of some of his advocacy, some of his thought leadership, some of his things that he has been advocating for. And I watch him from afar and I've learned from him. I've listened to him over the years, and I believe that when he talks, you should listen, because he would help you succeed, actually. He's the CEO of InnoHub. InnoHub is one of the leading business growth accelerators, or should I say, a growth catalyst organization within the country. They actually support SMEs or SGBs, small growing businesses, to access opportunities, particularly funding, and also grow their business within the continent and even global. As I said, he has done this for so many years. He's also the founder of Accra Angels Network. As I said, he's an investor on the side, an angel investor at that, to be precise. So without much ado, normally he doesn't like being given too much, but I'm doing it because, I mean, he's the keynote for it. And this forum, actually, we like to keep things very, informal but insightful. So Nelson, you are welcome. Today, he's going to be talking to us about business growth, the pitfalls, and then the opportunities. Okay, what you need to know as a business owner, and then particularly as an entrepreneur. Over to you, our keynote, Mr. Nelson Amo. Thank you so much for honoring an invitation once again. And I'm so excited to have you here to speak to us today about challenges and then opportunities. I mean, pitfalls and opportunities for entrepreneurs to grow their businesses.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Andrew. You're very kind. Good morning and good morning, everybody. I don't know if it's afternoon for anyone on this call. I think if you are joining from Kenya, it's afternoon for you. So like they say, Karibu Kenya. So yeah, I'm very excited to be a part of this conversation. And as you talk about German trade, I'm asking myself this morning, I am here, I'm taking Kericho Gold tea from Kenya, which is amazing. And I ask myself, why do I only get a chance to take this when I travel to Kenya? Why can't I walk to any mall in Ghana and just buy this Kericho Gold tea? Why is it that when I go to a mall in Ghana, the tea I have is coming from somewhere out of this continent. And I think Germany trade is a great idea. And we can have a conversation around that. Again, I've been asking myself ever since I was invited to do this keynote, asking myself, how could I be very useful to this community without just rehashing the issues that we hear of and face on a daily basis as entrepreneurs? Talking about pitfalls and opportunities for entrepreneurs around business growth. How do I just not come and repeat the things that we know? And so as I reflectively considered the topic, I thought I would be more of, as it were, a blessing to this community if I could focus on what I call building the growth mindset. And really it's about mindset. And what do you see, the image you see here, essentially you see a lion in the middle, and on one side you see an antelope, on the other side you see a mouse. And a lion, as it were, is able to chase both the antelope and crush it, and at the same time chase the mouse, or chase a mouse. I don't know how you call it. I know people have different names, rodents, whatever it is, and crush it and eat it. But the energy required to chase the mouse is basically the same energy required to chase the antelope. However, the value, the calorific value that the lion would gain from eating a mouse is nowhere compared to the value it would gain from eating an antelope. So it is said that a lion that spends his entire day chasing mice would end up dying of starvation and little value to show off. But the lion that is chasing the antelope would have a better chance of survival and essentially maintain itself. So as I think of the growth mindset, the first thing that I really think of that comes to mind is, what are we chasing as entrepreneurs? Are we chasing to eat mice, or are we chasing antelopes? Are we chasing breadcrumbs, or actual bread itself, or better still pizza, away from breadcrumbs? When we wake up on a daily basis and we are pursuing, and we say we are hustling and we are on the grind, there are kind of terms that we use to make it look very sexy. We're on the grind, we're in the hustle, all of them. At the end of the day, what is your grind all about? Is it for daily survival, or there is a bigger picture you are really imagining and pursuing? At the end of the day, are you looking to build something that addresses a small community around you, or you are thinking of a country and thinking of a continent? If you are an entrepreneur in Ghana or entrepreneur in Kenya, in Rwanda, again, Rwanda offers a very, very small, such a small market. So if your focus and your emphasis is on a market like that, then you may want to ask yourself, is it mice you are chasing daily, or you have an eye on the antelope? Of course, when you start, you might be feeding on mice, but what is a long-term plan? Would you want to feed on mice for the rest of your venture, or you want to at a point switch from mice to antelopes? And that brings to mind an expression most of us use when you meet an entrepreneur and they are talking, well, I have a small business and I have a startup that does A, B, C, D. You meet a same entrepreneur 5 years down the line and they are still talking about their startup. So typically, if you do any research, you talk to entrepreneurs, and I've been talking to entrepreneurs for the past 10 years. My first investee company was in 2012. That was about 11 years ago. And you see how you talk to these entrepreneurs, the mindset is such that they end up staying in the valley of smallness. And this is a concept that you might not have heard anywhere. The valley of smallness is something I've been really interrogating for a while as we work with entrepreneurs, to say there is that mindset that causes us to want to stay small and enjoy the peace that we have, especially if you're able to buy a nice car, maybe get an apartment to live in, get a family, take care of your family and their needs. You almost become quite okay. but you might realize upon reflection that it is only keeping you by, it is not getting you beyond any space. So how do we as entrepreneurs begin to move from what I call the just enough mindset to something bigger than what we're doing? And so as much as I would have loved to give you the principles and do go-to-market strategy, do a robust business model, there are times I do those. In fact, after this session, I'm doing a session with some guys on business modeling for growth. But I thought, how do we rather rebuild and focus our mindset such that when the mindset is renewed towards growth and you're thinking of growth every day, it becomes easy to really put in the right systems, structures, and practices around that mindset. And as we say, the stars begin to line up around your mindset and you see things beginning to happen towards that. So big question for all of us is, what are we chasing daily? Is it worth it? If it's really not worth it, you might as well just get a big job somewhere that can pay you a fat salary, good rewards, and then you're fine. Good vacation and everything. Entrepreneurship is so painful that it has to be worth your time. So as we try to build, again, I ask another question: what's holding you back? So the second image you see is of what you call the elephant rope, or the elephant and the rope. And if you go to what is called a circus, you would see a matured adult elephant tied to a small tree with a small rope. And you try to find out, how come this elephant that has enough energy to just pull the tree and the rope along is seated at that spot for the rest of its life without attempting to move forward? And the circus owner will tell you the story that when this elephant was young, was a baby elephant, we tied the feet to the tree, to that small stump of tree with the rope. And at that age, they could not move. They couldn't tear off the rope and the tree. And so it becomes their mindset. They grow up thinking that this thing we cannot change. We can't do anything about that. I can't move. I just have to stay with this rope and tree. And that gets me asking all of us a question: what kinds of things do we hear around us in our ecosystems, in our environment? What is enough? What is good enough? Why do we not have a lot of growth stories happening around us? Because we hear all kinds of things that make us very content quite early enough. We actually have a system that celebrates us very early in the day. So you launch a product with no market, with no revenues, not enough profitability, you get hailed by your ecosystem as the best thing that ever happened to them. And that leads you to the place of early arrival, where you almost feel good enough. And that becomes the rope that stops you from moving to your next level. Again, there are all kinds of conversations you'll be having, the difficulty in setting a business, the difficulty in growing, and those conversations begin to influence your sphere of thinking. Then the difficulty in raising funds, it begins to influence your sphere of thinking, so such that even when there is an opportunity, you are not prepared to take it up. What kind of rope mentally is holding you back as an entrepreneur, and that is limiting your ability to grow? Why wouldn't you think that your product could do well across the continent? And why wouldn't you think that you could actually take on products in Europe and with the quality you want to build, win on some of these markets? Why do we think? And there was a Ghanaian journalist in I think he was in BBC. He died some years ago, and he made a statement that one of our challenges we think is the Ghanaian standard, or the African standard, or the European standard. He says there's only one global standard. How do we begin to rethink of a model to say, I'm building something that could compete on the global scale, therefore my emphasis on quality, on packaging, on service delivery is around some of these things. So what is holding you back from moving to the next stage? And I have just a few minutes to wrap up. Final point I would make on this is, lots of us really stumble into entrepreneurship not as our biggest desire, but it's a matter of necessity. People looking for jobs, job creation is a challenge. There's some applications all over the place, and then let me just start something. Others really move out from jobs and transition into entrepreneurship. So for them, they had an opportunity to stay in a corporate world, but they still moved. But for those who just moved into it as a matter of necessity, if you're not careful, you would be caught up in the place of just getting by because that's all you wanted. How do we begin to move from being a necessity entrepreneur to a transformational entrepreneur? If you're a necessity entrepreneur, the focus is on me, myself, and I doing quite well. And that's where you control everything all around you. But transformational entrepreneurship thinks of scale, things of growth, things of job creation, things of impact, things of profitability, people, planet, and shared prosperity. Begins to think around all of these things. This does not just happen. You have to engineer, you need to create a space, you need to expand yourself in your capacity to be able to have that happening for you. Secondly, as you begin to think of growth, you need to begin to build a growth enhancing business system. You need to look at what kind of systems would allow the business to grow beyond me. If everything around the business really rises and falls on you, then you might not be building a growth enhancing business system. Again, there is room for what you call lifestyle business. It's okay to want to be a lifestyle business, and that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But once you're thinking of growth and scaling, you need to think of what kind of systems you build that would enhance the prospect of growth. Thirdly, don't settle too early. Like I mentioned, we have an ecosystem across Africa that begins to celebrate people literally for ideas, for nice ideas, but not for what has been done. Please don't settle for the premature hype, because it will come at you and it will kill you and your business. If you see that happening, please shut your door to that and say, I'm building at the right time, my work will speak for me. Think across borders. It's like I mentioned, our markets are too small and they don't even attract investors if you're just looking at one market. So can we begin to think of products? Can we begin to think of solutions that could scale across borders if we really want to grow? And finally, growth does not just happen. You need to be very intentional about it. You need to have that desire and a purpose that I'm going to grow the business, I'm going to scale up, and I'm going to be a big success story of growth. If we have these at the back of our minds, we begin to think about really that mindset that can spur on growth for our ventures. On this note, I would want to say thank you very much to the organizers for this opportunity given me to share these few thoughts as keynote speaker. I do appreciate that. And I do appreciate this community for your attention. I wish everyone the very best of your ventures you build in, and let's aim for the very top, because the top of Africa is currently being taken over by everybody else apart from Africans. And if we desire to take that off, I think we have a clear chance to do it now. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. I don't know how we are all, what the thoughts we are all processing, but there's a lot of things rushing in my mind. I'm obviously inspired. Obviously, I mean, there's a lot running on my mind right now. But I have two questions, just to summarize this and for us to take it home, right? Nelson, you said something so powerful that I picked up: necessity entrepreneurs versus transformational entrepreneur. And then early arrival, I could also connect it to the value of smallness, like the early arrival mindset, the value of smallness, as you highlighted. This is so powerful that the questions that beckons, or the questions that arise now, is that what has been the most obvious things that for you within your space of engagement that you think entrepreneurs always get wrong in terms of finding a solution? Because obviously it has to be the problem identification, framing a problem, finding a problem, and then building a solution from it. But then it always seems like there is that sort of commonalities within the ecosystem, that everybody wants to do something that somebody's also doing and all that. What do you think always gets entrepreneurs in that field? That a matter of necessity? How would entrepreneurs move from necessity? Is it an issue of economic bottlenecks, economic sort of, they want to escape poverty kind of thing? How do entrepreneurs really move from that space? Because money and search for money is also a problem, right? But where do we find that thing that would get us to the concluding remarks that you made, solution that will scale across borders? I don't know if this is a question that always comes to you within your space. What are the obvious things that always happens when you observe the things that entrepreneurs are always trying to solve, the business they're trying to build? For me, where I sit, it's so obvious that everybody wants to do everything that somebody else is also doing here. And it's like people are really thinking above and solving problems that other people are confident. How do we get there? How do we get to a place where we can build solutions that can scale across borders?
Yeah.
That's the first question.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Maybe the question around how do we build solutions that can scale across borders is, whose solution are you building? I had an opportunity to do a study tour in Israel on the Israeli ecosystem. I visited so many hubs across the country. And one of the things that struck me was, for most of the entrepreneurs and most of these places, they start the solution with a clear customer in mind. Who are we building for? And most times they have identified a challenge in North America, a challenge in China or Japan or somewhere, and they are building a solution for that. Others also in fintech have identified challenges with the banking sector, and they talk to these banks. If we have this, would you buy that? And so they build with that end user in mind. So I will be asking, how do you do a very good market opportunity assessment, number one, and a market opportunity validation? This is what I want to do. It's not because I love it. It's not because I've seen many people doing it, but is there a clear or a real market for that? If not, you end up building things that really have no value, and you don't get paid if you don't have value. You don't bring value to the table. So how do we create the right value that the markets that we seek to serve can resonate with and say, this is a clear need for us? And the second thing would be, how do you track progress? And most of us really, as an entrepreneur, I mean, I was talking to somebody, he said, I've done this for 3 years, my revenues are growing now, I need financing. And I just asked him basic questions on his books. And for 3 years, not a single record of what he's doing. So how do you now begin to convince somebody that there is growth potential in here and you should come on board? And so I said, you know what, we can't talk now, please go back, talk to some guys to help you with bookkeeping and start putting things in order, and then we could possibly get back to who we can connect you to us as investors. So let's do the market opportunity validation for whatever we want to do, but let's start tracking progress. I mean, it doesn't cost so much to do bookkeeping, and if we were to do a census on entrepreneurs on this call, you might be surprised to see a lot of us don't do that. And I will not do any poll like that for political reasons. But let's just do the right thing, guys.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
I love my life, so I won't do that.
I like that. I can understand. I can understand. I think you answered my next question, because getting ready to actually attract investment, that was the next question actually. But finding value, knowing that there's a user in mind, building, knowing that you have a user in mind, building for somebody, who are you building the solution for, is so critical. And so the next question, I will change it. How do entrepreneurs actually overcome those sort of barriers that always is, they want to say that the government has to do something, you know, somebody has to do something for me, somebody has to step in for me. I hear this often, that there are some economic challenges that are so obvious to us. Inflation is on the rise. How do we create those sort of buffers? How do entrepreneurs also, you know, manage their own resources such that they can perhaps, you know, be ready for some sort of investment if it happens for them, right?
Right. Thank you. I think one of the things we all need to realize is that we are at the center of it all. I mean, if you go poetic, say to be or not to be. I mean, I don't want to go into literature around that, but to be or not to be, it's basically about what are we doing in response. As for challenges, they would come. If you live in Ghana, we have all kinds of issues we're addressing that is affecting liquidity for businesses and what have you. But I'm asking myself, do I sit down and complain or take my next step? And we need to learn to pivot quickly if you have to, if you need to add on new values. We need to be nimble-footed. We need to really look at what is happening and how do I respond to that rather than just sitting down and complaining. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have an opportunity. We are not like that huge train that has a long carriage with it. We have an opportunity to really develop response mechanisms. If what you are doing is not working, don't just fall in love with it. And sometimes we fall in love with our idea such that even if it's obviously failing, sometimes by external conditions, negative externalities, we still don't seem to realize that we need to move on. If the market is going down around what you're doing, please, for your own sanity's sake, think of what else you can do. It's not wrong to pivot. It's not failure to pivot. It's basically smartness if you think that. Yeah. I need to move into this. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should just be quick to be floating around different things. You need to be able to time things and say, what is the market responding to at this stage? And that also doesn't mean you want to be a wave rider. It's a balancing thing, knowing what really could be working and what is not working and how do I make it work. Ultimately, I think you are the captain of your ship and you need to be able to see what works at any point in time and how you can make it happen. But the key thing is really not waiting for things to happen to you, but being proactive in deciding what happens in any point in time.
Voila, wonderful. I want to thank you for sharing this insights, mindsets. I mean, it starts with you, the person. It's before the business. I mean, when you work on yourself, you can see ahead, and you can be able to navigate all this on certain times, be able to build yourself such that the whole externalities, as you said, negative externalities happening around you, you can possibly navigate. You're the captain of your ship and you're in charge of what you are building. Pivoting, as you said, is not failure, it's smartness. It's smart business to pivot when you see things falling, things going haywire. Thank you. I've written a lot of things, and I want to say that everybody here, I believe, has taken note of something that they can, put into their quiver, their backpack, something that they can work with in building sustainable, scalable businesses that can cross borders. Thank you so much, Nelson. I don't know if you have time and you can be able to join the panel because we're moving into the panel shortly. You made mention that you have another engagement, but if you can, we'll be so happy to have you join the panel. We have an amazing group of panel members that are going to probably just expand on what you shared, also bring in their experiences and also share various insights from their respective industries and what they've also encountered in their field. I don't know if you can.
I see my great friends on the panels now. Just join my friends. It's good company to be in. I see Amaji, I see Leah. I'll stay with my friends for now before I jump to the next thing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So our audience, this is it. This is the African Entrepreneurship Forum. This is what we do every quarter. We just heard Nelson Amo, the CEO for InnoHub, sharing with us the business growth, pitfalls and opportunities, using the analogy of the lion, mice, and then antelope. Are you going to hunt for value of smallness, hunting for the mice or going for the antelope, using the elephant analogy tied to the rope, a fully matured elephant, but still staying there. And then giving us I think 6 pointers, 5 pointers to bring it home. These are powerful insights. I saw a lot of comments in the chat box reacting to this insight shared by Nelson. We really appreciate it. And so this is it. We are going into the discussion phase now. I want to welcome my panelists to join me now. Maybe you can turn on your videos at this moment. And my panelists, as Nelson said, it's an amazing group of people. who are within the field. I mean, they know what is happening. They are always interfacing with entrepreneurs. They always share these conversations. They've been a part of this conversation for God knows how long, all right? And they are also going to just pinpoint the issues that we all face and profile solutions and give us the guidelines how to navigate these times, all right? So I have with me today Amaji, as Nelson said, the CEO for Scale Up Africa, and she happens to be on my organization's advisory board. We love her so much. She's an amazing advisor to our organization, Reach for Change Global. She's a global advisory board member with Reach for Change Ghana, and also the CEO for Scale Up Africa. We are with us Leah Induati. She's the lead accelerator specialist with the Room. Lead accelerator special. I hope I got it right though. She's the accelerator specialist, the Room, all right. And she previously, I mean, she's been in the field. She's actually a Kenyan, but now she's a Ghanaian. I've actually naturalized her officially. She's a Ghanaian. She's been doing this for a very long time. She's been in the space also working with entrepreneurs. And you know what the Room does. I'm sure she's going to talk to you more about it. And we have here my brother Chibuna from the Africa Council of 8. So I happen to be an Africa Council of 8 member with the Shared Value Africa Initiative. And it's a young, vibrant group of young people who are building some of the most transformational businesses that are going to change the fortunes of Africa in the next decade, all right? He's the CEO. He's a CEO for Kiru Energy, and currently doing some linkages with real estate, trying to build solar panels for real estate people in Nigeria, Lagos. We have Talifani Banks. He's also the CEO of Analytics Africa. Earlier, we all highlighted that she's doing SVAI is doing something with analytics, Trade, the product, the new service that they're building with analytics. And Talifani happens to be one of the brains behind that innovation. He's a data guy. He believes data is the new gold, all right? Data is the new gold. And he's the man that gets the things done. From the 4IR, I mean, the fourth industrial revolution, he's moving the conversation within that space. And he's full of power, he's full of energy. I'm sure he's going to share more insight, more thoughts on what Nelson has already shared from the beginning. So this is it. We are moving into the conversation. God is king. I see Telefani, you already have a fan favorite there. Chibuna doing the most. Wonderful. So if you are here, kindly connect with somebody on Twitter, on Facebook, that we are moving into the discussion phase now. We are here with an amazing group of people. So over to you. Let me start with Ama Jampo, because I can see she's the first person right on my screen. Ama, tell us a bit about yourself, Scale Up Africa, your work, and then maybe 2 minutes with what Nelson has said, a bit of insight on that to basically, bring in the conversation, and then I'll invite the next person also to take off from where you end.
Okay, thanks so much, Andrews, and good day to everyone. So I wear many hats as well. I mean, similar to Nelson, my friend Nelson, I'm an angel investor. I run a property management and hospitality business, so I get the whole entrepreneurship hustle. I'm a ministerial advisor, so I love convenings like this because it just brings us all together to just emphasize some of the gaps in our spaces. So one of the things I wanted to add to what Nelson said was that sometimes our startups are like adults, right? Adult kids who don't want to move out of the house when they grow up, right? You meet startups and entrepreneurs 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years later, and they still refer to themselves as startups. And it's like, as someone who advises startups, governments, investors, it's like, when are we going to grow up? So I really loved what Nelson said about the growth mindset and the transformative businesses that we truly need to focus on. So we really want to see more of those from you guys. So yes, my name is Ama Jampo. I'm co-founder and CEO of Scale Up Africa. Scale Up Africa is pretty much a social enterprise. We're a mission-driven entrepreneurship support organization, and we advise on international development as well. We're based in Accra and London, and most of our work revolves around, capacity building, advocacy, technical assistance, business development services to foundations, governments, corporations in terms of their accelerator and sustainability initiatives. And we also advise on ESG, which is a very, significant trend that I think we should all be focusing on. We're very committed as an ecosystem partner, advising several governments, for example, the government of Ghana, ministries, the US State Department, the Singaporean government, and the German government in particular. And we're very keen to really relay some of the fundamentals that our SMEs need, and what we need as well as ecosystem builders, as advisors to you all, in terms of some of the gaps that we see in our space. We've done quite a bit of advisory work and implementation work for corporate clients like Access Bank, for example. We do a lot of sustainability work for, let's say, the European Union to promote sustainability, green economy, jobs, and some of the potential opportunities that are available to some of you all. And I think for the past 2 years, we've been working mainly on COVID recovery and response. We've been designing and implementing projects for clients like MasterCard Foundation, GIZ, UNITC, and the Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs, ANDI, to really figure out how we could plug some of the gaps from the pandemic in terms of SME support and tangible assistance, really to help us get through to the other side of the pandemic. So I'll hold off there for now and hand over to you, Andrews.
Wonderful, wonderful. Definitely a woman of many hats, doing a lot, but then absolutely we've actually gotten the right person. You can see for today's conversation. Over to Lilia. Tell us a bit about yourself, pointers or insight picked from Nelson's presentation, two pointers perhaps, what you can probably also add.
Thanks, Andrews. Nice to meet everyone. So my name is Leah Duati. I am an African citizen, so nobody should say I'm from here or there. I'm from Africa. So yeah.
I love that.
And
I love that.
yeah, the theme of my work has been to connect Africa through supporting entrepreneurial ecosystems, enabling entrepreneurs to scale up, and recently also I've gone into the wellness economy. So I started off by founding what is called the Kenya Trade Expo in Ghana. That was the first expo that was connecting businesses between Kenya and Ghana. That was in 2015. And the whole idea was there was no knowledge, very little awareness in terms of what trade could happen between Kenya and Ghana. A lot of the Ghanaian businesses were looking outside to Europe, the same thing as the Kenyan businesses. So we ran the Kenya Trade Expo from the 2015 to 2018, around there, connecting businesses, doing business matching, facilitating trade visits, ensuring that, I remember one time I had to kind of strong arm the Minister for Business Development from Ghana and actually just take him to Kenya. Like, you need to see what is happening in Kenya and what is the potential. And luckily he was very collaborative. So he came with me to Kenya. We spoke to the business community there. And at that time, I know the government was very deliberate on bringing investors in. So he made it very clear to the Kenyan community that Ghana is open for business. And out of all that facilitation, out of all that advocacy, we also ended up having our Kenyan embassy established in Ghana finally. And so the Kenya Trade Expo is now moving on to the embassy that will be running that and facilitating and supporting businesses. And from there, I set up Growth Africa in Ghana. This is an accelerator. If there's any growth stage businesses here, you should look into Growth Africa. So it's an accelerator that was set up in Kenya, operates in 6 African countries, but operational in 13 African countries. So I helped them to set up in Ghana. I led the office in Ghana for 3 years, supporting growth stage companies. So these are the startups who actually accepted to leave home, like Amma said. And so they're on the next stage of development where they're creating more employment and they're generating more revenue. So with them, we were looking at how do we scale you up? How do we make sure that your processes are okay so that even you as a founder, you can afford to go on holiday and your business will still be running, you know? So these are the things that we work with growth stage founders on. And after 3 years with Growth Africa and making sure that we have a good team there, I've now moved on to the African Leadership Group, which has many different facets if you look at it. And so I work with the room as an accelerator specialist. So I lead the accelerator there. And the same thing, we are working with growth stage companies. And this time it's even more exciting because we are supporting them to get into new African markets. So last quarter, we worked with companies like Farmerline, Jetstream, Money Africa, Touch and Pay. Some of them have even been to Y Combinator. And what we were looking at is how do we increase their value for their investors by making sure that they increase their market share within Africa. And so that's what we do now at the room, where we do hard things. We've had our founder, Fred Swanika, speaking. We all do hard things, and this is the hard thing we're trying to do, just like Shared Value Initiative, is to make sure that our entrepreneurs get value and create value across Africa. So the pointers I would like to add from what Nelson said is just start by chasing the antelope. Yeah, there's no need chasing the mouse. Just start by chasing the antelope, have the big vision, chase it big and just go for it. And secondly, numbers. That's why I feel like we really fail as Africans. We shy away from the numbers, but you have to have your financial foundations and your numbers from the start. If it means, getting someone to consult for you or getting an angel investor like Ama or Nelson to just invest in that aspect of making sure your foundations are right, your financial foundations, then I think that would go a long way in making sure you get sustainable funding in the future. So yeah, chase the envelope and make sure your financial foundations are okay from the start.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thanks a lot for sharing that, and amazing journey. Inspiring to know that what you've started is now with the embassy. I mean, and the embassy is taking it forward. Wonderful. Applaudisse from my side. Chibuna, over to you, my brother.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrews, and good morning, everyone from Lagos. I'm very excited and honored to be in your presence. Thank you so much, Amma and Leah, for your wonderful introductions. I've been inspired. I've been taking notes. Thank you so much, Mr. Nelson, for the excellent keynotes. I've been taking so much notes here as well. And one fantastic thing I noted was that we should think across borders and make no small plans. So not to be trapped in smallness, and also to not settle for the premature hype, which I believe is one of the greatest ropes holding us back as young entrepreneurs in Africa. So myself, my background is in chemical engineering. I started Kiru Energy as an undergraduate with my business partner and brother, Benedict Okpala. I believe he's on this call right now. We started off as undergraduates in our third year in the university, tinkering on the idea, pivoting, learning on the go without any prior business experience. We just continued to push, and we failed. We tried different products, tried different services. We just kept going. So one thing I've learned so far in my journey is that you don't stop, you just keep going, and it gets better and it gets better along the journey. We stumbled upon the Shared Value Africa initiative in 2019. And since then, it has been an amazing experience working with Shared Value Africa initiative. And so far, so good. At Kiru Energy, our vision is to build a future where everyone living and working in Africa can have the right environment and the infrastructure to make their own dreams come true. So because infrastructure is a very critical thing that needs to be fixed in Africa, and the environment, because environment has a lot to do with shaping mindsets and helping people to bring out their own innovations and their own dreams. So that's our vision at Kiru, and we believe and we are working hard to become a $500 billion company by Q1 of 2040, employing over 50,000 talents across 5 continents. So when Mr. Nelson was talking about chasing the antelope, we are already chasing the antelope from the start. We started in 2017 with the idea, and we persevered up to now. And in 2022, we were in Owerri doing residential solar installations. And at a time, we thought to ourselves and was like, this is not bringing the right kind of money we need, and we're not growing. We need to think bigger. We need to expand. And we decided to make the bold move to Lagos. So we just arrived in Lagos 2 months ago, and we are pitching our tents. and getting ready to fly. And so we are very, very happy to be part of the Shared Value Africa initiative, and we are very dedicated. When we are talking business, or when we are talking entrepreneurship, for me, it's a life mission. It's a calling for me. It's beyond just the money, or beyond just answering a CEO or something. I believe it's a call to leadership. We need to build our continent. We need to build Africa. And every one of us cannot run away from Africa. Like here in Nigeria, there's this thing called Jagba syndrome, where so many young, smart people are leaving. I believe that it is pertinent for us to still have some smart people who are dedicated to build the continent, right? So I'm very happy and very honored to be in your presence, and I find it a very good privilege, to be chosen to be an entrepreneur. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, and I look forward to the interesting conversations. Thank you so much.
Great. Wonderful. Thanks a lot, Chibuna. Talifani, you're the last to give us the intro, and then the conversation starts. Tell us about yourself. I know you do a lot, and then your 2 pointers from the keynotes, and then we move into the heart of the conversation.
Hi, everyone. I'm running analytics advertising. Actually leaving to run analytics advertising. I'm focusing on the parent company, Analytics X. And analytics advertising is an emerging medium enterprise company, 8 times award-winning. And as an entrepreneur, I've won some couple of awards in what we do. But the heart of it is we are a data company. We build data-driven systems that are helping organizations make better decisions, whether it's internally and externally, and whether it's in communication. So we have a team of software engineers, data engineers, machine learning programmers, data scientists, and marketers. And either we're building systems, driving data pipeline, advising business through data science, and also creating the communication if it has to go to marketing. We've been growing in the continent, existing in 5 countries, and it's been fun. But now, as I hear what the message was for today, I connect with it because I've been working on getting out of analytics advertising. And one of the things that you realize as you work your way out, you realize that if everything is still connected to you, there's a lot of things that you need to work on. But I've managed to build a team and leaders in the pipeline. And what I'm trying to do now is to build exco level leaders who can run and sustain the company without me. And that's what pushes scalability. And maybe scalability might be outside my vision, because all these guys are corporate guys coming with different knowledge and saying things that some of them were beyond my understanding or beyond my reach. And that's what potentially drives scalability. And when I heard him saying that, I was like, that's it. If you think you can start with the same momentum to scale, it's going to, you reach a point where your model of building sustainability and scaling is different. And that's me working on my way out in the next 6 months. I should be out by June, July. And I'm officially running Analytics X. Yes, so Analytics X, it's got different companies, and one of them is Analytics Advertising, and one of them is Jammy Trade. And Jammy Trade is a product that we're developing now. And what is Jammy Trade? Is a platform that will allow continental trade within the platform. And we are trying to connect different traders, different entrepreneurs, different sellers to be able to trade amongst each other. And one of the models that we might drive in the system is to be able to draw a chain. Imagine finding somebody who specializes in farming, somebody who specializes in transportation, and somebody who specializes in retailing, connected in one platform, and they're a farmer in different countries. That's what we're trying to drive. But as we build algorithms and machine learning models, we'll see what's better. But Jammy Trade is a platform that should connect Africa. It's driven on the mindset of African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And we are partnering and have partnered with large organizations that will be supporting it, like the chambers, the corporates, and it's exciting. And on Analytics X, I have other models that I'm working on with BMS Education, which is an education model where we want to automate the process of a student, teacher, and a parent to be on one platform and centralize communication. centralized work as well. There's also a platform we're working on, it's called Chat2Cars, it's a platform that centralizes automobile industry. So you can buy a car, you can talk to a person, you can talk to Andrew through a number plate, you can chat on the platform, you can stop, you can see your car, geofencing, you can lock it and stuff like that I'm working on. So analytics actually allows me to innovate. But as I come to this platform and connect with innovators of the continent, I love the conversation that was happening today because it talks about the heart of sustaining the business and scaling it. He mentioned something powerful about don't fall in love with the glamour, the nice looking of the business, and don't just strive to be a nice, good energy business. Strive to be a good model business that is running on systems and is sustainable without everything depending on you. And if entrepreneurs can start building with that mindset that at some point I need to get better leaders and to get better structure inside, I think that can help sustainability and helps us grow. Currently, we have a lot of startups that don't make it, and they say 90% of them don't make it. I don't know if that statistic is true. I'd like to believe that most of them will make it. I think sustainability is what is key. So now that your model is working, how do you sustain what you're building? And that's where we go out and seek knowledge, seek investment, seek all of that. I'm still learning. I'm a student of the game. Some speakers that I still hear that I'm like, okay, I'm ready to learn. You know, you don't stop. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Talifani. And this is where we are getting into it. I mean, you've just led us into where we probably have to just build from. There are issues that are always confronting entrepreneurs. I mean, we are here and we know it per what we do in our daily basis and also even with the news. I think there was a question in the chat box that talked to us about how to build systems in setting up yourself right systems around your numbers, because I think Leah highlighted that in her presentation, taking pointers also from the keynotes that Nelson shared. So I want us to get to, I mean, numbers, financial is a problem. Documentation is a problem for most entrepreneurs. Leah, I want to start from you. With your experience, what do you think always gets entrepreneurs to miss out on those things? Is it a training issue, or is it that they are too hungry? What Nelson probably highlighted as necessity entrepreneurs, that they seem to forget and they take some things as an afterthought before they'll come and think about it. What always happens that they forget about the need for numbers? Is there a training issue? Is it that they don't seem to understand?
So we have to understand that entrepreneurs are dreamers and are very passionate people about the problems they want to solve. So they might not be the person to sit down behind a desk and do a lot of Excel. They just want to get it done and see the solution happening. So it's not really a training problem, because if you're an entrepreneur who's more adept with communication, selling and talking to customers, I can't tell you to now go and take a financial course. So I think it's just a matter of prioritizing. So just understand that from the time you start your business, you are spending. Even if it's your own time, you are spending. And now what we have is a lot of technology tools that we can leverage. So there's things like Zoho that can give you like free access as a business. So go into the internet and find free tools for business management, especially financial management. And all you can do is maybe say every day, 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to log in what you've spent financially or whatever, because maybe at the beginning, you're not able to hire a financial manager. You're not making any money, but at least you can take 10 to 15 minutes to put in those numbers. Okay, how much did you spend? How much did you spend on this? How much did you spend on that? How much did you make? The tools are there. It's really that simple that you just dedicate that time, 10 to 15 minutes. You're not spending an hour looking at all that. And by the end of the day, you'll find that in a week, you're able to analyze, I'm spending this much time. And please, when we're talking about spending, it's also about the time you're investing. So for example, if it's Nelson and he's running his business, if he was CEO for another company, how much would he be getting paid? So he's actually investing that time, that money that he would have been getting as salary into his business. So you account for that. This we find a lot when now we come to investment and you're talking about how much did you invest in the business? What's your equity? You did not account for the time, the sweat equity that you're using. So if you could, for example, set up a system where every day, 15 minutes at the end of the day, just review how much did you spend? Even if it was just for a website you paid for, how much did you spend? And then from there, build on slowly and pick a tool that will help you to do that so that by the end of the day, you have the analytics. If you don't do it now, it's very hard to go back and start looking at how much did I spend here? How much did I spend there? Because you are just running. You need the solution to come. You need the customer to come. So if you don't take care, you will not be able to quantify this by the end of the day. And by the time investors come, you'll find that you'll get the raw end of the deal because you did not account for everything that you are spending on. And on the other hand, you also have not set up your financial foundation. So you're not even able to answer a quick question like unit economics. So your unit economics will start from when you start putting every CD in, or every dollar or every shilling, whoever is here, then you account for that and how you make money back. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so it's more of, if you don't know how to do it, get the help. If you can't pay for the service, find a tool. Find a tool and then try to use it, put it into use. You made mention of Zoom, and I think maybe Excels even. Yeah. But then now most entrepreneurs don't even, perhaps maybe don't know how to even use those tools, right? And I'm coming to Amma. When it comes to the need for entrepreneurs to even find where to get support systems, when they find the idea, and as Leah said, they are passionate, they are dreamers, they found an idea and they want to just carry on with it. How do you get to a place where you need to just stay back and say that I need X, Y, or Z people in my life? At what point do entrepreneurs have to get that awakening? I don't know, but it seems to suggest that in Africa, it's a lot of passionate people, and how do we get all those tools around us and get the support system that we need? How do we put those things into practice to get the results that perhaps they want to actually see?
I think I want to go back to what Nelson said about necessity, survival, entrepreneurs, and those who are entrepreneurs in terms of mindset, vision, plans, knowing what they are doing, knowing their hell yeah customer, those are the ones that we are talking about. And those are the ones that we need more of to create the jobs in the system. Now, when you start a business and you are someone who has growth and scale in mind from the beginning, typically you will know that Google is at least your best friend, right? You Google the free tools that Leah just alluded to. You'll find Zoho popping up. You'll find Gmail, popping up. You can do your presentations on there. You can keep records on there. Basic, just to get yourself started. One other thing that we don't do so well is, team building and appreciating brain power. We hear about the brain drain, people leaving Africa, dying in the Mediterranean, dying around the Sahara, leaving Africa. But we have fantastic minds and brains here. So it's really also a matter of, again, alluding to what my brother said about the fact that entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship support is a bit of a calling. Like, we always joke that you need to be a little bit crazy, sorry to say, to do this in Africa, because the lights don't work, the water's not running, you need to run your generator, you need to hire people who have gone through a very old education system. The world has really moved on. So there's so many things that are barriers, as we all know and experience daily. But you need to surround yourself with people who get the vision. Like if you're thinking big and you're chasing antelopes, you need to surround yourself with people who understand the vision. 20, 25 years ago, we kept hearing that, Africa is too poor to support the industry of mobile phones, right? Fast forward to now, we're innovating and crushing it in fintech, agri-tech. There are so many industries that we've seen mobile money explode, and M-Pesa, like we have all these examples, but Africa was discounted from the mobile phone conversation until Mo Ibrahim took over that space and absolutely crushed it and laid the foundations for us all today to communicate and do all this in Africa today. It's something that was, Africa was discounted from that opportunity. So it's really about understanding the vision, surrounding yourself with the right team, Googling things, research and information is at our fingertips now. It's not like when we, some of us grew up and there was no internet, there was no internet, so information was about going to the library, finding encyclopedias, going for records, physically going somewhere to find information. We have no excuse to say we don't know. Yes, data can be expensive in Africa, but there are ways to find information. And if you don't know, Google knows. Ask a friend. There are places, ask Google entrepreneurship support wherever you are. Walk into your local district. I mean, at a district level, most countries in Africa now do have some level of business support service that's provided from the government. It's your first step, and I think it's really hard to justify some of these gaps in terms of resources and tools, which are widely available. Some are free, some are not, but as you start, it's widely available. So I think we need to really get over that and look at what we're doing in terms of accessing resources and information.
Great, wonderful. So we need to know what we are dealing with in terms of accessing resources. I'm going to the entrepreneur who probably started when he was in university, right? Chibuna, case study, you are a living example. What did you do? You Googled, absolutely. I mean, we are the tech people. We are the generation that met internet. We were born before internet. We are so fortunate. Aside Googling, aside everything, how did you leverage your own network, your own friends, as Amma alluded to, your own system? And how do you identify the values within those people? How do you leverage their skill sets to even drive your business? You said you identified a brother now, Benedict, and teamed up with him to build a business. Tell us a bit about that, maybe in 2 minutes, and then I'll hit on Nelson to invite a very crucial aspect, and then Telefani.
Okay, so there's a quote in the Bible that says that 1 will chase 1,000 and 2 will chase 10,000. And that has been a very key guiding principle for me. And for me, my vision when I started out was to build a global conglomerate as a business. So I knew that for me to build a global conglomerate, you cannot build it alone. So I needed people with complementary skills to add to mine, because myself, I'm more of a salesperson, the guy that will speak and pitch and try to convince customers, investors, and, spreading the vision, but I still need people who have the technical expertise and who can see things clearly, apart from not from a visionary perspective, but from on the ground realistic perspectives, and say, okay, this is what should be done now. Let's focus on this. I remember when we started out, it was all about both renewable energy and recycling was the idea we had. But by the time Ben joined the team, we now started talking about product development. So he said, we cannot be a company if we don't have a product we are selling or a service we are offering. That was so profound. And then we started thinking about product development. So we started producing inverter systems for students in the university as our flagship product then. So that we're doing that manually, and it was not really productive for us. So we knew that we needed to change, and then we started thinking about software products. So we tried our hands on so many things, but the profound idea I'm trying to share here was the fact that when Ben came, he said we cannot be a company if we don't have a product or a service to sell, right? We can have a problem that we want to solve, but we need a product or a service to actually convert that to value, and value to now be exchanged for money or revenue. And when you have revenue, then you can have a business, you can pay salaries, you can pay your bills as a company, you can grow the business, you can scale and expand. So what we did was we started attending accelerator programs, incubation programs. So we participated in so many incubation programs, from Student Innovation Challenge in 2019 to the All-On Energy Incubation Hub, where we emerged as top startups in that particular accelerator program. And from those programs, we're able to raise funding that we use to keep pivoting and keep innovating. Because for us, I believe that innovation is very expensive, especially in Africa. You need money to innovate. That's the truth. You need money to innovate. And for us to do that, we needed we needed sources of income and that will allow us to make products that can sell in the marketplace. So that was how we built that's how we built these partnerships, and along the line we maintained relationships that we built even in the past with the accelerators and with the incubators. We still keep in touch up to today. We are also part of LEAP Africa, the LEAP Africa Fellowship. We are also part of the International Sustainability Academy in Germany Fellowship, and we keep relationship with all these people by reporting. So we keep them updated with our work, what we are doing. When we are about to come to Lagos, we updated our networks and said, okay, we are not doing this anymore in a way. We're now doing this. We're now going to be doing this in Lagos. So it builds that trust. People know that this guy or this company, they are dedicated. These people are focused. This team, they know what they are doing. They might not have it all figured out now, but they will figure it out in the process because they are consistent. So for me, it's all about consistency, like I said, and it's more of just never give up, never stop. Because if you stop, then you cannot find the antelopes. You cannot chase the antelopes. So you need to keep going. You need to keep going. Yes.
Wonderful. I think you touched on what I wanted to invite Nelson in on, building trust within the process. Whilst you have, identified the business, you've connected the needed resources, you've built the network, you're growing with a certain level of understanding. I think Amma also said, let people understand the vision. You also expanded on it by bringing in the various people being inducted into an incubator and all that. Nelson, when it comes to entrepreneurs, the moment they find the opportunity, maybe the place where they maybe see that green light or the field of opportunity to blossom, how do they build trusting systems or build that avenues where they could be consistent and then hopefully not fall within that thing of early arrival, as you highlighted on within your earlier submission? All right, kindly touch base on this a bit, throw more light on this, and then maybe I'll bring Talifani in to touch a bit on other aspects.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andrew. Very good conversations. I've really been enjoying listening to them. I wish I could just listen more, but you threw me in.
I know.
So in terms of building trust within the system, one of the expressions that you hear being thrown around a lot now is trust the process. Do we really mean it when we say it? You know, business building is a process. It's really not a one-day arrival. I just want to do this and it's done. What kind of processes do we want to build to go through? So for example, I have my eureka moments. The idea basically drops by inspiration and I say, wow, we're going to do this. Where do we start from to build trust in the system? Can we start with basic customer development, customer feedback on what we have? It is not enough to call a circle of friends and ask them what they think about that. And they'll say, yeah, go for it. But when the rubber hits the road, where you're now talking to paying customers who would basically want to pay something for what you do, and you see that none of them or most of them are not willing to spend on what you're offering, then you begin to realize that there is something about your product that is not really fit for the market you're targeting. It is okay to do free sampling, but free sampling is not your biggest form of feedback. I have seen many people go to the malls, they set up and say, can you try my product and give me feedback? And as nice as we tend to be, we don't want to give negative feedback, especially when it's for free. So your feedback from that customer who had your product for free cannot be trusted. And this is something that all of us will need to take. And you get a paying customer giving you feedback. That is the real truth you want to be looking at. If you want to really build on the process that can be trusted, trust the process, go through customer development, customer validation, market development. And until you make money, you are not yet in business. Until somebody is willing to pay you for what you're offering, what you are doing is something else. And that's and sometimes we spend a lot of money in our attempt to build a business on the mindset that build and they will come. you end up getting to the end of the road and realize that they never followed you to that point. So in that process, and that's why sometimes lean methodology does help, pilot something, build the first phase, let's get to market, get feedback, market validation, get back into the loop if it shows it's not working, and change it quickly. And don't wait till the end of the day. And there are a few case studies that prove that whole model of trying to build a whole thing. And when we started this whole e-commerce, one of the first biggest e-commerce platforms that came up got huge valuations, raised a lot of money. At the time they started selling, they crashed, and they couldn't face the markets. So how do we make sure that we're building the right process that is robust enough? It shows that there is a pain point of a client. We know the client whose pain point we're meeting, and this client has a budget to address that pain point. Until you're able to connect these 3 dots of pain point, who is for, and they have a budget for that, it really doesn't appear yet in business that can be trusted. So you need to make sure, and again, also understand that it is quite a small ecosystem. People are very connected. And so you want to be careful how you deal with these clients and the very people around you, because one thing that goes wrong in one place could basically mess you up in the next place that you go to. So as you build and trust the process, you want to really keep that in mind. So there's a very, very small ecosystem of clients and stakeholders and partners that you'll be dealing with along the line. Wow,
great. Small ecosystem of partners they are dealing with along the line. There's a reflection here, or I don't know whether it's a question. Let me quickly pick the mind of Amma on this, and then I'll come back to Telefani, because I think the person was trying to ask Amma about, I think it's Jackie Benso Mambambu. I hope I got it right. He said, what would you advise entrepreneurs need on their part to break through their own limiting thoughts? I feel an issue of doubt and self-doubt and their own views, or maybe culture nuances that perhaps inflect their own creativity or their own energy, especially if it follows that, especially if they don't all come from a culture or space of entrepreneurship, but we have a good idea of what we want to offer the world. Would you want to expand a bit on this to help this person?
I think that's a really, really good, pertinent question, because it's something that affects probably everybody on this call today, honestly. It's something that I see, especially with women, but generally cuts across the board. I mean, young people are scared, they're anxious, that there's bad news everywhere, economy is crashing, fluctuations in currency, no jobs. So, and then the social stigma of being an African, whatever that means, from various segments of the continent. But I think the main thing is, this thing of knowing your purpose and your why. Why would you want to solve that problem? What problem speaks to your heart? What problem are you passionate about? Really knowing how you're feeling about a specific issue or thematic area is probably the starting point. That kind of innate interest will drive you through the tough times and through all the issues that you will experience as an entrepreneur. So I think that starting with your purpose and your why is like, why are you here? Like, what is your calling? Which area do you care about? And then really, I think nowadays we're all stuck on our computers all the time, but, shut the laptop, go out there, talk to your prospective customers, that struggle daily with the problems, that you are interested in. And then you'll find, in interacting with your customer groups and really finding out, digging deeper into the issues, where the real struggle is. I allude to the mobile phone conversation because someone or multiple millions of people wanted to just call home. If you're in the big city, how do you call your hometown? If you're in the big city, how do you send money back home? These are innate needs and wants, right? And we see again that the mobile phone industry just dominating the African business landscape. So I think those are the things that we need to focus on as individuals. And in terms of limiting beliefs, I mean, we all have those, imposter syndrome and having your dad or your uncle or your mom in your head and, thinking about what everyone's going to say at church and all these kinds of things. I think it's really just sticking to the purpose and having that true North Star and following that deeply and in a way that will unearth the real opportunities in solving those deep fundamental problems that we all face and see every day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, one of our panel members would have to drop off. This is a busy group of people. We're already 3 minutes past the hour mark, our time. But I just want to take quick thoughts from Telefani. Leah will be dropping off shortly. We really want to appreciate Leah for making time for this. I'm sure Leah has really given us the needed insight. But Leah, maybe if you want to spend 5 seconds just to say something and then wish us goodbye. I know Nelson also something that's lingering on the side, and perhaps we'll get to start quickly also. Leah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I wish I would have stayed longer because this is a very deep conversation. So maybe you need to reach more often. But for me, I'll just echo what Nelson and Amma said. You need to really have that reason why you're doing it. That gets you up in the morning. And then definitely understand your customer. Start understanding your customer from the beginning. Because now when you're talking about investors and funding, they want to see traction. So you have to start getting your customers from the beginning. And the more feedback you get from the customer, the easier it is to raise. And I'll share a link to a podcast that I listened to. It's called 20-Minute VC. And this guy talks to so many founders, including the founder of Canva, and you will hear all their struggles as they were building their business. It just takes resilience. Selling your business is like selling a product. So you really have to know how to sell the business, but know also how to get a lot of rejections, get up and continue, get rejected, get up and continue. And one last thing I wanted to say before I leave is that you don't have to do it alone. You can get a co-founder. So if you've started your business, you can get a co-founder. And this may sound a bit controversial. Your co-founder does not have to be African. So this is a system we are in. So just understand the system and understand that you can get a co-founder from a different part of the world. It doesn't have to be African, based on their expertise, based on their knowledge, based on their passion, and based on their access to investment networks. It can help your business grow faster. As long as you have good legal systems, good coverage, you're able to grow your startup faster if you use a different co-founder. Okay, so there's a lot more to say. Just invite me next time, and then I will add to that. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, panelists, as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much for honoring the invitation, and we will continue. There's a part 2 for this, obviously, for the second installment, because a conversation like this, it never ends. There's still more to share. Thank you, Leah. We really appreciate your time. I want to go to Telefani, but then I know Nelson also wants to, leave. So quick thoughts from Nelson, and then Telefani will get thoughts from you, quick reflections, and then perhaps we'll use the next 2 minutes to close out nicely. I mean, I'm struggling to close this out, as you can all see, because I think we've gotten to the heart of the thing, and it's like the conversations are already getting exciting, but time is not on our side. So Nelson, can you help us, like something to take us home? Maybe 3 pointers for entrepreneurs to really profile on. I mean, think about, continue to be at the back of their minds, right? Take us home with that, and then I'll go to Tali.
Thank you very much, Andrew. My next meeting is up and they are waiting for me already, so I'll be running out. But again, I shared a lot in the keynote, and one of the things that so much has been shared by the panel as well. One of the key things that we get at some of these convenings is that we pick a lot and we're excited, but the next thing is what happens to them. Really, just do it. If something came up on your mind, you notice something, I think the biggest, just do it. Just go out and do it. I mean, practice what you get in. Don't wait for next week. Don't wait for 2 weeks, because it begins to fizzle into the air, So whatever came up, really, like Nike says, just do it. And finally, unlike lawyers who call themselves learned colleagues, entrepreneurs are learning colleagues. We are not learned colleagues. We learn by the day. The moment you become learned, you can be an entrepreneur again. You need to be learning by the day. So things are changing quickly. I mean, Zoom is laying off people, 15% of their staff. Whoever thought Zoom would do that? We learn by the day and we move by the day. So guys, it's been a pleasure being with you. Or I will share my email address in the room. You can always connect whenever you want to. Also connect on LinkedIn. Just find me Nelson Amo, and that'll be a place to start from. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
you for that. Learning colleagues, entrepreneurs here. Now we have a new slogan on African Entrepreneurship Forum. We are learning colleagues, guys, learning colleagues. Amazing. Thank you so much, Nelson, for spending this amazing time of your morning with us. We really appreciate it. I think someone actually sent us a quote on the chat. I think Jeremy Sandy, that another thing is reading. People who have gone ahead of you, I think that's what he wants to say, gone ahead of you, have written books, sharing how they did it. The best secrets in the world are kept in books. So read also. So I'll find a quick one from you, and then we'll go to Amma for his quick reflections, and then we'll close this out nicely.
So I was hoping you're going to give me a direction on what I need to cover.
So here's a covering. I mean, Nelson just talked about learning, and somebody asked a question about what is the what's the dream, what's the end goal of an African entrepreneur? All right. For you in where you sit, I think you see a lot of things happening around you. You've gone through the journey. You know the challenges. What is the one thing that has kept you to be consistent? Somebody also asked that, how do you get to be consistent? What has kept you being consistent? I think Amma highlighted the North Star. Okay, is it you having your North Star, right, on you, or it's something that holds you back, or that the family system, or I don't know, but tell us something from your end that has kept you going and what you really want to reach to inspire someone out there.
I think it's a very key question. We need to have a reason of why we're doing this. We are all called, but what is your assignment? And what will scale the model is what will sustain you when it's tough and how it gets difficult is that knowing where I'm going. My mind is creating platforms, technological platforms that will sustain the continent. And I'm working towards that. The other one is to create employment for young professionals in the continent. That's why now our team is 39 professionals. It's a different level. Because I was talking to this lady in the morning and she was like, how do you get to just employ 2-3 people? And I was like, even me, I don't know anymore, because you have to be operating beyond expenses, beyond calculating small things. It's about the vision. And even when you calculate, know it enough that the vision is more important than this now. And that's what will carry you as you build. But also build systems, like systems is what sustains the model. So a system can be a normal system that you use to operate, but it's also a system of workflow with your teams and who's doing what, you can't be everything. You'll run out. And sometimes you feel like your business is not working because there's no structure, there's no direction. But if you let things have a direction and stuff like that, you might find that you're doing what you specialize in and producing at optimum level. That's what sustains companies. And I think that's what keeps me going. But also now as I build them, I'm actually buying a plot. So that I'm buying a plot, we're building the operation. So as I do this and we build different operations within the plot, the vision is one, build the continent and be intentional about employing Africans, because I've learned that Africans are very smart. Now I'm hiring people in Zimbabwe. We're working with a company called F1. And I'm like, this is what we're doing it for. We're doing it with impact. And that's what sustains me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Build a system, workflow, build a systems that work. You can't do everything by yourself. And the reason, I mean, why you even started in the first place? It always starts with why. I mean, Simon Sinek, a very wonderful book that I love, one of my personal favorites for entrepreneurs, starts with why. And so let me go to Amma. We are closing out. I know there's a lot that you can share with us with what you see within your space. But what is the 3 things perhaps that you can share with this young group of entrepreneurs within the continent that we should actually prioritize step by step, maybe, or some things that we have to think about in building sustainable businesses that perhaps can access the needed funding that we want and get the buy-in of the customers that we actually want to serve?
Thanks so much, Andrew. So I think, alluding to the why, You just talked about your why, your purpose. Okay, I think that's the first step. And then getting closer to the customers that also are struggling with that particular thematic area and problem. 2 would definitely be the team building. I think Leah spoke about your co-founder, your team. You make it work, and you keep digging until you really get to the crux of the problem that you're trying to solve through your business. I think understanding the investor is also very important. Like, what do investors want to see? I always say your customer is your biggest investor. So if you can get your customer right, I keep saying your hell yeah customer, the one that really appreciates and values what you're doing as a product or service, that is probably the biggest focal point for you, your traction, your revenue. And then, you can then later down the road look at investment. So I think those are the 3 things that I would like to suggest that we focus on moving forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like the hell yeah. It's hell yeah. A customer is your first investor. No one actually gets me. It's very important. Thank you so much, Amma, for that. Chibuna, from your end, what can you share with us? You are building something that, you already have your first quarter for 2040 goal in mind. That's the big, hairy, audacious goal that you have. What did you say, 50 billion or $40 million?
500 billion.
500 billion.
Yes,
oh my goodness. Wow. That's huge. And so currently, you can let us know what you are doing, perhaps just to share some inspiration for the young entrepreneurs that have joined us today for the Entrepreneurs Year. And then maybe we'll just get some, time is not on our side, but if you can just take us home, then we'll close out nicely.
All right, thank you so much. So in Lagos, we are powering businesses with smart, clean energy solutions. So businesses from small businesses to commercial and industrial clients, powering them with solar mini grids and solar mini grids particularly, yes. And also we are working hand in hand with real estate firms who are developing new cities. Right now, there's a concept of smart cities in the world, right? And as for me, I'm also a smart city infrastructure expert by study and by training. So with that vision, to support cities, to support the new developing cities to be eco-friendly, to be net zero, to be climate safe and resilient cities, right? So we need to power these cities with clean energy. So that is my work with the real estate companies. So we are building strong partnership with these real estate firms, and it's a shared value approach, because now we're not just approaching them as a single customer, we're approaching them as partners, on the journey of building sustainable cities. Yes, so Hero Energy, a strong partner of real estate development firms, to build sustainable cities. So that is currently the work we are doing, and we also have other innovations in the pipeline. We have a software product that we're working on, but no, we've not announced yet what it's going to be, but it's currently in the lab, currently in the Futures Lab, yes, and to be announced soon. So for us, innovation is our driving force. We keep innovation going. Our core values are excellence, innovation, and resilience, because these 3 core values have been what has sustained us. After we looked at our track record from 2017 up till now, we can boldly say that excellence, innovation, and resilience have been what has kept us on the journey up till now. And there is so much to achieve in the future. So the last thing I can say to entrepreneurs on the call is this: know that it's a calling. Do it not just for the money. We do it for the money too, right? But you need a stronger motivation beyond money, right? Like, you need a stronger motivation beyond the money. So you have to have that vision to make impact, see it as a calling to transform the continent. And because you are relevant, because your work matters, no matter how small it might be now, it can grow to become something very big. And with what Nelson said to us, we need to stop chasing mice and start chasing antelopes. So let's go for the big things already, because it's the same energy that we're using to chase mice that we can use to chase the antelopes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chibuna. Thank you so much, Amma. Our previous speakers have also done justice to the topic. I'm sure all of us, I mean, me included, we've learned a lot, and we have something valuable to use as tools to build sustainable businesses. And just as Amma said, I mean, have a stronger why, and customers being your first investors. And hey, I mean, you don't do it alone. You need to have systems that coordinates everything that you're doing. I mean, it comes with who you are working with. It comes with your own ethics, your own values that guides your operation. But self-belief also is very important. It's also a resource. I mean, believing that you can actually build something is also very important. I think we've spent a wonderful time for today's forum. There's more to share. Time couldn't allow us for that. So join us on the next session, and I'm sure Amma will be here with us once again. Tibuna hopefully will be here. There's a forum that we are blending in with the Africa Council of 8 members, and then with thought leaders, experts, as you've seen Amma, you've seen Nelson, you've seen Leah. The next forum, we're going to have these leaders also. My boss often says that, my country manager for Richford and Solomon often say that credibility before visibility. Credibility before visibility. I'm sure I'm going to invite him one time. We will invite him one time to just expand on this also. I think Amma highlighted that also. Build credibility, build yourself. The tools are available. Make Google your friend. Make Google your friend. Make Google your friend. Build the credibility. Know the things, all right? And together, let's make Africa a wonderful continent as we want to see it to be. Thank you all for joining us for today's session. We are sorry we couldn't allow you. Normally, we invite others to talk, but time couldn't allow us. I want to thank you to join us for the next forum, the next quarter. We'll announce the date. Look forward to the full recording also via email. And together, I'm sure we'll have a good time in our business, and we'll enjoy the journey, regardless of the challenges that confront us. We'll keep enjoying the journey. Thank you. My name is Andrew Sakutoado, being your moderator for today's session. I'll see you again next quarter. All the best, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Andrews.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Thank you very much.